Hello and welcome. I am Miss Fisher and I will be your child's teacher this year. I am very excited for the year to get going and I'm very glad that you can make it today. Today I just wanted to give you a little more insight on the approach that we will be taking for math. Now, I know, math can be a bit of a touchy subject. And for most of you, when you think of it, it can look a little something like this. Hard, long, complicated, almost impossible to solve. Don't worry, I've felt the same way before. But I just want you to know that you have nothing to fear. Everyone is 100% capable of doing math, no matter what level they may be at currently. And I can promise you that I plan to use a variety of strategies to ensure that each of your child's needs are met. Now you're probably wondering how. How exactly will I do this? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about techniques, strategies, supplement materials that I'm going to use to try and help make this math class one that your student may actually enjoy. But to start you off, I think you need to know that one of the biggest things we are trying to do with students in math these days is to move them from procedural knowledge to conceptual understanding. What I mean by this is that we want students to not only know how to solve problems, but we also want them to know how to explain why they are doing something or what exactly they are doing when they are solving a problem. One way that I plan on doing this is by using a strategy that I like to call math talk. Math talk consists of me posing questions to get the students to explain their thinking. Math talks will not only help the child better understand their own processes, but it also tells me where the students are at. Now, I've talked a lot about problem solving, so I should let you know that that is also another major concept that we will be working on. Problem solving is obviously a daily activity. You do it all the time and in almost every situation. But problem solving can also help children experience the power and usefulness of math in their own lives. So, we want to make that connection that we're not just teaching them math because we're supposed to, but that we're teaching them math because they can use it in their everyday lives. As their teacher, I will teach children how to begin solving problems. So I'll teach them that they need to first understand the problem and they need to come up with a plan and they need to find all the information that they need to know before they can solve the problem. And then maybe reflect on it so then they can see if what they did was right. I will also give the students lots of practice with this, and I will make sure that a lot of their practice will present the students with interesting and real-world problems. So then they can make that connection between math and their own world. So one way I plan to emphasize problem solving is by doing a problem of the day every day, which consists of me putting up a picture like this one you see. And then the students formulating questions that they would have about it, then determining the information that they would need to know to answer that question that they may have. And then they go with the information that they gain. So I'll give it to them. Then they'll go and they'll solve the problem and they'll come up with strategies that would work to make them find an answer. Then we'll come back and we'll discuss. We'll discuss how we found the answer, what we did to find that particular answer. But now I'm going to tell you about some of the other techniques and supplements that I will use to help make math more interesting. And one that I will be using is manipulatives. And as you can see in the picture, we have base 10 blocks, which is a very great example of manipulatives that I will be using. But manipulatives are important because they're concrete objects that the students can use to help them solve a problem. It's something that you can set in front of them, they can move around, touch, mess with, write on, anything to help them better understand how to solve a problem and come to an answer. Another thing that I plan to use is technology, and as you know, technology is becoming very important in our world today. We use it for almost everything. And so one of the biggest technology pieces that I plan to use is iPads. And with the iPads, there's many educational apps, especially for math. Like, for example, I have Math Slide up there, which is where the students slide up blocks and they compete against their classmates and they have to solve challenges, and it's really an engaging app. But I will use these apps as supplements to either lessons or reviews that they can use or an incentive that they can play these games when they get all their work done. Just things that where they can constantly be working on their math. And most of the time by playing these, because they're such a game-like situation, they don't even realize that they're doing math. They just are. But another piece of technology that I plan to use is an online tool called Khan Academy. And with Khan Academy, each student has their own profile. And then they can have their own avatar. And then they'll they'll work through stages and do many practices. And I can assign practices to them. And then they're trying to master things. And so then it's really just a great way that the students can move at their own pace, work on things that they need to work on, and then they gain incentives throughout the Khan Academy. So it's like they know that they're succeeding, they know that they're doing better. And then also this technology gives me great feedback, so I know where the students may be struggling, where they're excelling really well, maybe something that I can help them with. Now, your next question you're probably wondering is, what exactly is your child going to learn? Well, this year, we are really going to be implementing the Common Core State Standards, which I know can also be a bit of a touchy subject for most. But once again, they are nothing to fear. The thing that makes them different is that they require the student to think deeper. It is the same math that they're still doing, but the students just go into more depth when they're working on it. So it's that same concept that I talked about earlier of moving them from procedural knowledge to conceptual understanding. They're going more into depth. They're going to be able to explain their thinking. The standards are split up into two major parts: practices, which go for all the grades. So like when I talked about problem solving as a major concept, it goes across all grades. That's important in every grade. That's something that they want students to know in every grade or work on in every grade. And then they're also split up into math content, which is grade specific. So that tells me exactly what I'm going to be teaching your fourth grade child. So as a fourth grader this year, your child will be learning multiplication, division, fractions, and shapes. Those are the three major things that we'll be focusing on. So within multiplication and division, it's just developing an understanding and fluency with multi-digit multiplication. So, for example, multiplying two-digit numbers by two-digit numbers. And then also the same with developing an understanding and fluency for dividing multi-digit dividends, which is like dividing into multi-digit numbers, like three-digit numbers, for example. Then with fractions, we're going to work on fraction equivalencies. So knowing that 1/2 is the same as 2/4 or 3/6, making that connection. Also with adding and subtracting fractions, like knowing that we need to make a common denominator before we can add or subtract them. And then multiplication of fractions by whole numbers. So how exactly do you do that? What are the processes that you take to multiply a fraction by a whole number? The last thing, our last major focus is shapes, and it's more the geometric figures and how they can be analyzed and classified based on their properties. Then we'll also be focusing on place value and their math facts, things that they will already know, but things that need to be constantly reiterated and understanding, so then they know how to keep doing the math that we're trying to teach them now. So that's really all that I have for you. And now, if anybody has any questions, I would gladly love to answer them. My first question was, do you have any resources that I can use at home with my child? And the answer is yes. For starters, if you have an iPad at home, I can send you home a list of educational games that would really be great for your child to work on. You can also work at home with your child on Khan Academy, which is very good for your child, and it is pretty self-explanatory to follow. I can also send home additional information on things that we are working on at the time that will give you a better understanding of what exactly your child is working on. I can also send home questions you can ask your child so then you can understand the math talk process or really just anything of that sort. If you would happen to need more resources, please just let me know because I would gladly try and find some for you. The second question that I received was, I hated word problems in school. Do you do a lot of that? And to be honest, yes, we do. I think it's a major component of problem solving is being able to read word problems and solve the problem within it. But I feel like with the picture of the day, that students will be able to understand those word problems better and how to pick out information to use. We will also do additional activities and go over specific word problems, and I will teach the children how to pick out the relevant information within a word problem, so you don't have to worry about them not being able to understand it. And once again, if you need additional help with word problems or your child's not understanding it, please feel free to contact me because I would love to be able to help as much as I can. All right, that looks like all of the questions. I would just like to say thank you for coming and listening to what I have to say. I know it's going to be a great year, and please, please, please know that if you ever need any extra help or anything, just to contact me because I want to help your child the best that I can. Thank you.